Warning: the following podcast may contain coarse language and is intended for Philadelphia Eagles fans. Fuck the Cowboys.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Birds Locker podcast from the locker room. This is the post-game show following the train wreck 27-10 loss to the Giants at MetLife Stadium. My initial reaction, well, thank fuck the regular season is over because it's ended in a collapse. The postseason doesn't look too far from being the same if we continue to play the way that we have. We were completely outmatched and outplayed, outcoached everything by an inferior opponent, or what should have been an inferior opponent once again. Yeah, we were without a few starters, they were without a couple too, but we just wilted. And honestly, that was before the majority of those main starters came out of the game anyway. I'm starting to wonder if we're just trash and the last 6 weeks is more an indication of what we are, and the first 11 weeks was just simply us masking it and just getting away with a few wins here and there. There's injury concerns to come out of the game as well, with Sydney Brown finishing the game with a knee brace and a crutch. AJ Brown was obviously carted off and ruled out of the game. It looks as initially that AJ Brown has avoided an ACL tear. Whether he has any other damage will remain to be seen. It's not looking good for Sydney Brown though. It looks like that might be an ACL tear, and that would be devastating for him considering he's had such a good year and a good finish to the year too, and it would be a big loss for our safety group. And yeah, overall it felt like a game that, as much as it didn't matter in the end, because with Dallas winning we couldn't change our seeding or anything anyway, that first half felt like it mattered a lot. Once again we weren't able to withstand the heat, and it looked like another game where a team had a game plan against us and they knew how to beat us and they were able to execute it, and we weren't able to do anything about it. And we also cost my friend Sean Francis $165, so that's not cool either. Quick look at the game itself. It was 3-0 after one quarter. It was a bit of a nothing sort of back and forth, but not a lot happening. Then the blowout in the second quarter happened. So 3 touchdowns to nothing. We were turning the ball over. They were just making us pay for it. They were hitting wide open receivers, and we ended up 24-0 down at the half. Just before the end of the half, we benched most of our main starters and just saw the game out. The Giants really just coasted from there. They weren't trying too much either. They were sort of just going through the motions. I guess the only one highlight as an Oregon Ducks fan, getting to see Mariota throw a nice TD pass to Quez Watkins was about the only thing I liked from the game. So there was a lot that I disliked, so it was nice to see that at least. Now, looking at the numbers, which were vastly in favour of the Giants, total yardage was 415 to 299. Passing yards was 306 to 166. Rushing yards was the only stat that we actually won, which was 133 to 109. First downs were 19 to 22 in their favour. Time of possession was 32 minutes and 57 seconds to 27 minutes and 3 seconds, also in their favour. Third down efficiency, ours was 38.4%, theirs was 42.8%. Fourth down efficiency, we were 0 for 1. They never went for it on fourth down. And the turnovers was a big one. We had 4 turnovers, they had 1. Positives, I've got 1. We had 24 more rushing yards. That's it. That's all I got for you. Negatives, everything else. Make no mistake as well, these numbers, they still flatter us even though they're not good. Because the second half evened it up a bit when they sort of coasted. At halftime, these numbers were disastrous. And this could have been a lot worse if they really needed to keep running that score up. Offensively, I mean, I thought we'd run the ball well. 133 yards on 24 carries at 5.5 yards per carry. It's amazing what happens when we do run the ball. Seems to work. Don't know why we don't do it more often. It baffles me. It really does. Passing game looked god-awful. That was, I mean, I know we were without Smith and AJ went down. But yeah, it was just awful. We could not find wide open guys. Guys are getting sacked. We lost the ball to a fumble. Like, things were just not happening. And despite an awful year, I thought Quez Watkins was a real shining light in that, despite the fact that we couldn't get anything else going. He managed to score our lone touchdown and also converted quite a few first downs as well. The turnovers, 2 interceptions, 1 each from Hurts and Mariota, and the 2 fumbles lost, one to AJ on the play that he got injured on, and one to Mariota as well. You just cannot win football games this way. Like, the margin for error in the NFL is not that big. It's not big enough that you can just simply throw the ball away and just expect that you're going to be able to come good because this other team isn't as good as you. Like, the margin for error is not that big. If you give a team enough opportunities, they will take them and you will lose. And that would happen whether it was the best team in the NFL versus the worst team in the NFL or 2 teams that are on par. We're not going to win games this way. And especially coming into the playoffs. Playoff games, we'd get blown out. Now, let's look defensively. This wasn't just an F grade. This was an expulsion. We let the worst passing offense in the league go nuts. They moved it with ease. Tyrod Taylor looked like prime Michael Vick. He was dominating. Blown coverages just everywhere led to that. A couple of their touchdowns were literally walk-ins. Like, they were untouched, and it was embarrassing, honestly. We did contain the run. They only had 109 yards on 30 carries at 3.6 yards per carry. Also stopped Saquon from hitting 1,000 yards, for what that's worth. But only 2 sacks again against the worst sack team in the league. To put it into perspective, they have been sacked 85 times this year. 82 of those sacks came in 15 games. Now, numbers-wise, that's about 5.5 a game. We've played them twice this year and only had 3 sacks combined, which is 1.5 a game. So we're about 4 sacks short in each game. How different the games would be with those extra sacks. Now, if we didn't have the talent on this D-line or the money poured into this D-line, it's a bit of a different story. But we have the talent and we have the money poured into this D-line and the draft capital, everything, to walk away with so little pressure on a quarterback. And these aren't elite quarterbacks that we're playing either. Very, very disappointing. And something that's not going to cut it next week. Again, 1 turnover. That's not doing enough to get the ball back. Our offense is giving away the ball too much and not converting a lot of third downs and things of that nature. We need our defense to be stepping up and picking up some slack, and they're just not. Pretty scary to think that there are much better offenses in the league than this Giants offense, and they moved it with us with ease. They took us to the cleaners. Overall, we look miles off being a playoff team right now. I mean, I know we've banked the wins and we've earned the right to be there. I firmly believe that. But we look like this will be a very, very short trip if we don't do something drastic right now. I know we have the guys coming back, but we're in danger of really laying a fat fucking egg in these playoffs and really embarrassing ourselves. I really hope that this was just we're just coasting through this week and going to gun it next week, but I just don't know what to think with this team anymore. The faith has gone out the window. Like, I don't have any trust in this team right now. I think we just go where the wind takes us and hope for the best. My player of the week for this week, I had to give it to Quez Watkins. He was really the only player who did anything of value. 8 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. He was the lone shining light on a horrendously cloudy day. The final standings for the year. So in the NFC East, we finished second in the NFC East, but as the top seeded wild card, so the 5th seed at 11-6. The Cowboys got the 2nd seed at 12-5. The Giants were 6-11, and Washington were 4-13. In the rest of the NFC, so the North, the Lions were the 3rd seed at 12-5. The Packers are the 7th seed at 9-8. The Vikings and Bears both finished at 7-10. In the South, the Buccaneers won the race against the Saints and will be the 4th seed. More on them later. The Saints finishing 2nd at 9-8, as mentioned. The Falcons 7-10, and the Panthers were the NFL's worst at 2-15. In the West, the Niners earned the first round bye and the 1st seed with a 12-5 record. The Rams are the 6th seed at 10-7. The Seahawks narrowly missed out at 9-8, and the Cardinals were 4-13. In the AFC, the Bills won an absolute classic today against the Dolphins to not only win the division but also get the 2nd seed on the back of winning their last 5 games of the year. The Dolphins now drop to 2nd in the division, which means that they are now the 6th seed at 11-6. The Jets were 7-10, and the Patriots finish at 4-13. In the North, the Ravens earned the 1st seed and 1st round bye with the NFL's best record of 13-4. The Browns finished 11-6 and are the 5th seed. The Steelers finished 10-7 and snuck in as the 7th seed. The Bengals also finished with a winning record at 9-8, so easily the NFL's best division in terms of win-loss record, that's for sure. In the South, the Texans broke the deadlock and were able to win the division at 10-7 and are now the 4th seed. The Jaguars and Colts both missed out at 9-8. The Jaguars, obviously heartbreakingly, because if they had have beaten the Titans, who finished at 6-11, they would have made it as well. In the West, the Chiefs finished 11-6 and will be the 3rd seed. The Raiders and Broncos both finished 8-9, and the Chargers finished 5-12. So as for the playoff seeding, in the AFC, the Ravens, as mentioned, were number 1. The Buffalo Bills, number 2. Kansas City Chiefs, number 3. Houston Texans, number 4. Cleveland Browns, number 5. Miami Dolphins, number 6. And Pittsburgh Steelers, number 7. In the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, number 1. Dallas Cowboys, number 2. Detroit Lions, number 3. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 4. Our Philadelphia Eagles, number 5. The Los Angeles Rams, number 6. And the Green Bay Packers, number 7. Now with the full list of matchups for the wildcard round, the Texans will play the Browns and the Chiefs will play the Dolphins on the Saturday. On the Sunday, the Bills will play the Steelers, the Cowboys will play the Packers, and the Lions will play the Rams. We will close out the wildcard round on Monday Night Football against the Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. Initial thoughts on us playing the Buccaneers. They've won 4 of their last 5. They're coming in with good form. This was the match that we predicted as well earlier in the week. We previously beat them this season in week 3, but honestly that feels like a lifetime ago now. I don't think both teams look overly great, but we'll have to wait and see. Of the teams left, you'd probably want to play them. They're probably the one that you'd arguably get a win against, and maybe you can get a bit of momentum. They're 50% at home as well, so they're not like a fortress there and unbeatable like, say, a Dallas would be. But yeah, we'll go through more of a preview later this week as we gear up for the playoffs. And as much as we've been down in the last few weeks, it's still an exciting time of the year, and as long as we're still in the fight, we're still going to be here. Alright, now time for fly up, fly down. Fly up. Quez Watkins. 8 catches, 93 yards, a touchdown. Great game from a player who has struggled mightily this season. Fly down. Jalen Hurts. He honestly had almost as many quotes post-game as he threw completions. He threw another boneheaded interception today, and honestly, the patience is just wearing really thin. He took a big step backwards today, and this will be a big game for him in a week, because if he can't prove that he can win a game and put the team on his back, there's going to be some doubts about him as a leader going forward. Fly up, Reed Blankenship. He was third on the team in tackles today and got the one turnover we had with the interception. There was not much else to really look forward to, so he can be the fly up for this week. Fly down, Rashad Penny. 2.7 yards a carry after people were screaming for him to play and wondering why he wasn't playing, and then he whiffed on a block leading to a sack on Hurts. Honestly, just stay on the inactive for game day list. I don't want to see him on this team again. Fly up, you Philadelphia Eagles football fans. You motherfuckers deserve credit for watching, supporting, and letting this team ruin your week over the last 6 weeks when you're mentally battered and bruised and you've been in 1,000 social media and in-person arguments. Every week you chuck your green back on, you practice your curse words, and you get ready to cheer this team on again and again. The best and most passionate fans in the world, and I know you'll be right up this week to turn it the fuck up for the playoffs. And finally, fly down, Nick Sirianni. The buck has stopped, and you've done nothing to change it. Swearing in your little press conference after the game doesn't impress anyone. We're not impressed with anything that you're doing at the moment. Whatever happens from here and whatever decisions they make, you've opened yourself up to it. This playoff game is a lot more than just simply a one game and whether we continue our season. It might be whether they continue with you. Alright, even though I've gone off a little bit there, it is time for the rant of the week. My rant for this week: this fucking garbage surface of turf at MetLife Stadium. When is the NFL going to finally put player safety first and outlaw this garbage surface? At MetLife Stadium alone, since 2020, the following list of players have had season-ending injuries: Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert, Sterling Shepard twice, Wan'Dale Robinson, Blake Martinez, Shane Lemieux, Jabril Peppers, Kyle Fuller, Aaron Rodgers, Al Woods, Jalen Phillips, and now Sidney Brown has lost his season to this bullshit garbage surface. This goes against the welfare of the players. Not that the NFL cares, but surely the one thing you do care about is the dollars and cents. People don't tune in to watch third stringers, they tune in to watch their stars play. Injuries are going to happen everywhere in the league, but season-ending injuries happen at MetLife more than any other stadium in the league. It's not a secret, it's not some coincidence, it's because of that fucking shit surface that you use. The NFLPA needs to step in and put the welfare of the players and the product first and fix this and stop hurting the careers of these players and stop making the product worse for fans. Alright, that is it for episode 8. We're heading towards double figures, and let's hope there's plenty more left this season. More of a preview into our wildcard clash later this week with episode 9. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe on all platforms, and, well, we were always going to do it, so let's get a break. Go Birds on 3. 1, 2, 3, go Birds!